Canada Soccer and John Herdman have today announced their squad for the upcoming friendly on November 11th against Bahrain, and this is a massive match for World Cup preparations, and we have a very heavy MLS-based squad. Of course, one player coming from outside the MLS in Liam Fraser from the Belgian 2nd Division, but sadly there's no players coming from the CPL, unfortunately Sean Raya and Karifa Yao missing out, which we will talk about in just a moment. Just as well as talking about my roster breakdown, the lineup that I could see being happening, and also some key players to watch out for, because this is also a very exciting squad with a lot of new faces being added into the mix. Before we do that, guys, make sure to drop a sub down below, click the like button, and drop a comment, and we're going to jump straight into things with this roster that has been announced. It's a very exciting team. Of course, the goalkeeping trio of Maxime Crépeau, James Pantemis, and Dane St. Clair. Of course, those three were basically a lock. There's really no discussion there between maybe Marco Carducci, which could have been added in. Also, at defenders, with Daniil Henry, Lucas McNaughton with his first ever call-up, Kamal Miller, Joel Waterman, Zachary Broke-Guillard, Raheem Edwards, Alistair Johnston, and Richie Larea. In the midfield, we have Matthew Chouanier, Liam Fraser, Marc-Anthony Kaye, Ismail Kone, Jonathan Osorio, Samuel Piet. And up front with Jacob Schaffelberg, Io Akinola, Lucas Cavallini, and Jaden Nelson. This is a very exciting squad for so many different reasons, which I'm going to break down, guys. But I want to talk about the defending core first. Of course, you look at the defenders, you see Lucas McNaughton being given his first call-up. That is amazing to see. But also, you got to look at the players in defense. Most of those defenders are a lock to go to World Cup 2022 Qatar. The likes of Kamal Miller, likes of Alistair Johnston, Richie Larea, those players are by far a lock. The question really is in the back line is a big question mark, is Daniil Henry and Joel Waterman. Of course, Scott Kennedy going out injured and going to be missing the World Cup with his shoulder injury. The real question is now who's going to fill in for him. Is it Daniil Henry or Joel Waterman? For me, it's Joel Waterman. But John Herdman was praising him like crazy in the media, talking about how he's a good footballer, how he's a quality footballer, his leadership role in the dressing room, how it's such a massive part as well. But Joel Waterman brings a lot of winning mentality. He's been fit all year, playing quality for CF Montreal. He's been brilliant. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Because for me, I got a back four going into this game, and of course going into the World Cup as well. But those wing backs are looking great with ZBG, Raheem Edwards, Alistair Johnston, and Richie Larea. And also in the midfield, I'm very excited for this. You have Jonathan Osorio being added in. He's going to be added in, but the real question is his fitness, of course. And you have a midfield of also Marc-Anthony Kaye. He needs to show something to match because he has been very poor of late. And for me, one of those guys in the bubble. Does he get called up? Does he not? It's going to be very interesting. You also have the likes of Ismail Kone, Liam Fraser, and Matthew Chouanier. Chouanier, I'm very excited for. He is one of my players to watch out for, which I will talk about in just a moment. But he has had a brilliant season for CF Montreal. He's very young at the age of 23, and I'm very excited to hopefully see him get some minutes. But a guy who is very interesting for me is Liam Fraser. He's a key starter and a key player for his side in Belgium. So I'm very surprised to see him being let go by his Belgian side in a non-FIFA regulated window, where they're letting him go play for Canada and kind of hoping he can really squeeze into this roster. Of course, it's going to be very interesting to see how much minutes Liam Fraser gets when you got guys who are probably locks go to Qatar and Samuel Piet, Jonathan Osorio, and Ismail Kone, and of course Marc-Anthony Kaye knocking on that window as well. But Liam Fraser is very interesting for me, of course, to see that he's been let go by his club. But up front, you got Jacob Schaffelberg, Io Akinola, and Lucas Cavallini, with, of course, Jaden Nelson. For me, we're going with a 4-3-3, but there's only two out-and-out wingers in Jaden Nelson and Jacob Schaffelberg. So it's going to be very interesting to see how John Herdman works the squad around against Bahrain. But no matter what, this is a very exciting squad. And one thing I want to talk about before I dive into my ones to watch players is the CPL boys, who, of course, for me, were the big ones in Sean Raya and the likes of Karifa Yao. Both of these players are going to be playing a key role for CF Montreal in the next coming up season, with of course the likes of Mihailovic moving on to play for AZ Alkmaar, which is where Sean Raya will step in, of course the U21 player of the year in the CPL. But you got the likes of Karifa Yao, who's going to be stepping in probably more than likely for CF Montreal and taking up Kamal Miller's role, or Alistair Johnston once he moves on, once one of those guys move on to Europe. But the key question is, why weren't they called up? For me, they should have been just called up to be a part of the squad, learn the atmosphere, get to be with the players. But I'm very surprised by that. It would have been very cool to see and very interesting for these CPL lads. But nonetheless, I want to quickly move on to my ones to watch players. I got 5 of them here for ones to watch players for this tournament, and then we're for this match and this friendly match. But then I'm going to dive into my roster, my predicted lineup, and what I could see possibly Herdman going with as well. For me, guys, my key one to watch player going in this match is Jaden Nelson, the youngest player going with this Canada side at the age of 20. He has been one of the youngest players. He's been absolutely brilliant this year for me. I think he's a quality player, a very pacey winger who is going to be in that front 3 for Canada, in my opinion. Played 31 matches for Toronto FC this year, and of course, had a goal in it and 2 assists. But he was very good. Starting 25 of those matches at the age of 20 is brilliant. I think he'll be playing a key role for Bob Bradley next year. I hope he could earn a transfer off this friendly. Yes, of course, playing one match against Bahrain isn't going to get you a lot of hype for Sayu, but it's still going to be able to boost his stock. You're still getting a call up to a very notable nation right now, a very top nation, and to get a call up to Canada right now is very notable with how good we've been, our rise. A lot of people are taking note in Canada right now, and a young talented player in a 20-year-old Jaden Nelson is very exciting. But another player I have to watch is Ayo Akinola, which is going to be very interesting. He's only had 2 appearances for Canada. He hasn't been the same since his injury, and he hasn't been that great for Toronto FC. Of course, he has played this year 26 matches, starting 14 with only 2 goals, a very poor return for a number 9. But he's going to be the backup to Lucas Cavallini, probably only getting around 20 minutes, 15 minutes in this match, because Cavallini is a lock probably to go to the World Cup, and he's going to get a lot of minutes in this match. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Ayo Akinola can do. But another player who I'm very excited to watch in this match is Jacob Schaffelberg. Schaffelberg has, of course, played for Nashville and Toronto this year in the MLS, but since making that move to Nashville, and today he officially joined Nashville as they did pick up his option, he played 8 matches, been given 7 starts, having 2 goals, and was absolutely brilliant for Nashville. He looked like a quality player, and the player we all know Jacob Schaffelberg can play. So he's going to be one to truly watch, because I do see him starting against this Bahrain match, which I will dive into in just a second here, guys. But also, my last 2 players I have to watch out for are Matthew Choinière and Zachary Boquillard. Matthew Choinière, of course, playing a bigger role in CFF Montreal's success this year than Zachary Boquillard did. Matthew Choinière was truly brilliant for me in the midfield, having 2 goals this year, and a quality Montreal side, having 1,300 minutes, and he is absolutely brilliant at the age of 23. And also another 23-year-old coming from CF Montreal in defender, ZBG, who is very good, coming on as a rotational player, a substitute, having 4 goals and 2 assists. Some of those are very clutch as well. 5 of my players I'm very excited to see there, guys. Jaden Nelson, Jacob Schaffelberg, Ayo Akinola, and of course, Choinière and ZBG. So guys, we're going to dive into my predicted lineup for this match. I think it's going to be a 4-3-3, or that I'm hoping for, because we all know Herdman's going with a 3-man midfield, and he's going to want to prepare this match to also prepare for the Japan match and then prepare for the World Cup. So guys, I have in net Maxime Crépeau, and of course whoever starts here between Dane St. Clair and Crépeau is of course on number 2, so I'm saying it's Crépeau. In the back line I see it being of course Larea and Johnston, but the big question is here is who's going to line up with Kamal in the middle. I'm going to have the likes of Joel Waterman, but then I'm going to have him going 45 and seeing Daniel Henry step in. It's going to be very interesting to see who can win that center back duel in this matchup and get the call up, so it's going to be a very good duel there. Midfield 3, I'm going to have the likes of Jonathan Osorio, Ismail Kone, and Samuel Piet, who are all locks really to go to the World Cup. And up front, Lucas Cavallini, Jaden Nelson, and Jacob Schaffelberg. Let me know what you guys think of the predicted lineup. Let me know what you guys think of the roster, and of course, of my ones to watch as well, and what you guys think about those CPL players missing out. It's very unfortunate for those younger players. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Hit that sub button and drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.